Today, Mitt Romney and Republicans couldn't agree on whether the individual mandate includes a tax or a penalty, and whether Mitt Romney should fire campaign senior advisor Eric Fernstrom. After the Supreme Court announced their ruling on Thursday, Republicans found their new line of attack.
The Supreme Court, which has the final say, says it is a tax.
It's now a tax, since the court said it was a tax.
It's not even Obamacare, it's Obama tax. This is a tax.
Chris Wallace asked Republican Senate Leader Mitch McConnell the obvious question.
If the Obama mandate is a tax on the middle class, isn't the Romney mandate a tax on the middle class?
Well, I think Governor Romney will have to speak for himself about what was done in Massachusetts.
And so, with Mitt Romney, as usual, unavailable for questions from reporters, the task of answering the question Mitch McConnell left for the Romney campaign fell to the Obama campaign's delight, the Etch-a-Sketch guy.
The governor believes that what we put in place in Massachusetts was a penalty, and he disagrees with the court's ruling that the mandate was a tax. But again,
so he agrees with the president, but he agrees with the president that it is not, and he believes that you shouldn't call the tax penalty a tax. You should call it a penalty or a fee or a fine.
That's correct.
Thank you, Chuck Todd. That prompted this reaction from Fox News.
My problem is this. We're out here fighting, the conservatives are fighting to call it what it is, a tax. And then Mitt Romney's guy, Eric Fernstrom, comes out today and says, it's not a tax.
The mandate is not a tax.
What in the world are you? You know what, Eric? Do us all a favor. Take a vacation. Come back November 7th after the election because it's a tax.
Eric Fernstrom's incompetence must have come as less of a surprise to Eric Bolling's owner. Rupert Murdoch tweeted on Sunday, Mitt Romney last week, tough Obama Chicago pros will be hard to beat unless he drops old friends from team and hires some real pros. Doubtful. Joining me now are some real pros, the co-hosts of MSNBC's The Cycle, Crystal Ball and Steve Kornacki. So Eric Fernstrom's been with Romney for a long time. He was in the earlier Romney campaigns and served him, I think, as governor, was on the staff. So I think that's who Rupert's talking about.
It seems likely, given the way that things have happened. I wonder who Rupert's talking about. That guy. Yeah. I mean, of course, the irony here, I had a friend in town this weekend from Canada who doesn't follow the American political system closely. And when I explained to him that Mitt Romney had imposed the exact same health care law in Massachusetts that he's now railing against across the country, he found it just the most insanely absurd thing. And this particular situation where he's having to talk about, okay, it's not a tax, it's a penalty because this is what I did in Massachusetts and I campaigned on the fact that I didn't raise taxes in Massachusetts, points out the absurdity not only with the health care issue, but he also raised in 1 year alone over $500 million in user fees that he claims weren't taxes. So if this is a tax, aren't those taxes as well?
Steve, Eric Fernstrom's a professional. He did not go on television with Chuck Todd this morning without confirming with every strategist in the campaign, this is what we're going to call it. We're going to call it a penalty. They knew Chuck was going to ask that question. He went on that show to send out the message, this is the Romney campaign position. And they knew, didn't they, that this was going to be tough for Republicans to hear.
Well, sure, and they're in basically an impossible situation here, because if they don't say that, then they are saying that Mitt Romney imposed the exact same tax on Massachusetts that Barack Obama supposedly imposed in the country. But, you know, I have heard the theory proposed, I forgot where I first heard it, but that the 2012 election is the 2004 election in reverse. This time, the Democrat is in the White House, the Republicans have the flip-flopping rich guy from Massachusetts as their nominee.
Right.
And I look at this, and I see a real parallel here when it comes to health care to what John Kerry and the Democrats went through in 2004 with the Iraq War. And you remember, Kerry was haunted because A, he had voted for the war in the first place, and B, he had that infamous, before he was against it line on the supplemental funding. And throughout the entire fall campaign, Kerry was pressing the message that, hey, look, things are getting worse in Iraq. We really need to rethink this. We really need to rethink our strategy there. And Bush just always had that line he could throw back at him and say, You voted for this thing. You won this war just as much as I did. And I'm seeing that same potential when it comes to health care in the fall. Romney can throw everything he wants. The Republicans can throw everything they want in Obama. And Obama can look at Romney and say, same program, same tax, your state. Where do you think I got the idea from?
All right, let's listen to what Romney endorser Rick Santorum said about this today.
This is so important, yet Mitt Romney agreed with Barack Obama on every single thing that he did. Why would we put someone up who is uniquely, pick any other Republican in the country? He is the worst Republican in the country to put up against Barack Obama.
The graphics team ruined my joke. I said he said that today, then we were going to reveal. Of course, that was back in March. But, I mean, the man has a point. If you are trying to find the single worst person to have the Republican nomination on the day that the United States Supreme Court says this is a tax, Romney would be that guy, right?
Well,
he'd be about the worst.
Let me introduce you to Herman Cain and Newt Gingrich.
I don't know, Herman. You know what? I would like to hear Herman Cain's answer to, is it a tax or a penalty?
It would be. It might involve apples and oranges.
And the number 9.
It would be colorful.
Number 9 would be
in there. Yeah.
But, I mean, clearly Mitt Romney has a problem with this issue. And actually, I think his problem may be overshadowed by the fact that the campaign's attack ads aren't actually as effective as the super PAC attack ads. And they're all going to be on message with this being a tax and, quote unquote, the worst, largest tax in middle class history, which is, of course, a lie. But they're all going to be on the page with that. And there's a new study showing that their ads are actually more effective. So in some ways, I think they're going to be able to cover for this bungled Romney response.
And let's listen to what Eric Fernstrom said in response to Rupert Murdoch's comments about the campaign staff.
Well, we're very happy with the team that we have. We're happy with the state of the race. I can't respond to every tweet that Mr. Murdoch sends out, but we like the way things are right now.
He loves the way things are right now, Steve. Loves them. He's got that penalty to deal with, and now he's got Rupert Murdoch to deal with. What is Rupert up to here?
Well, I was saying to Crystal before the show, it's interesting because we all know.
Don't say anything to Crystal before the show. Save it.
We were discussing the weather before the show, and an insight occurred to me that I will now share.
Okay.
And it's, we all know where Rupert Murdoch is coming from. We all know where his sort of media empire is coming from. Very conservative, pro-Republican. But it was striking to me, to see him basically to admit just outright that he wants Mitt Romney to win the election. I thought that was kind of striking. I always thought there was a little more nuance there. The papers will always come out and editorialize for the Republican side, or we know where Fox News is. But to see him come out there and say that, I thought was very interesting. But the question of Fernstrom and his long-term future in the campaign, the one thing is this. This Friday, the next jobless report comes out. And we know the Romney campaign, it is all about basically they want that number as high as possible heading into November. And I got to say, if it's bad news this Friday in terms of where the economy is going, we will not be talking about Eric Fernstrom at the end of the week.
Let's dwell on some more bad news for Romney for the moment. Let's listen to Mitt Romney talking about the mandate in 2006 and 2008.
For those that have higher incomes, we expect them to have health insurance. And if they don't, we're going to withhold their tax refund or put in place other penalties to assure that everybody comes in the system.
No, you impose tax penalties in Massachusetts.
Yeah, we say, look, if people can afford to buy it, either buy the insurance or pay your own way. Don't be free riders.
So, yeah, they're tax penalties. He kind of nodded agreement to that.
Yeah, well, and he does such an eloquent job, too, of describing the mandate. I mean, I don't know why we didn't take some messaging lessons from him. And that's exactly what it is. You can't have people free riding on the system. We're paying for them anyway, so you have to get them in through the mandate. And the fact of the matter is, in Massachusetts, which, of course, is the model for this thing nationwide, less than 1% of people ended up paying the penalty, tax, whatever you want to call it.
Steve, it seems both campaigns want the is it a penalty or is it a tax discussion to go away. I mean, this presents a minor problem for the Obama campaign, which is they don't want to dwell on this much longer either. They have to kind of enjoy where Romney is, but it's not like they're going to be the prosecutors here.
No, but I mean, in this case, you have the media is going to play a big role in that. Because I mean,
I'm the prosecutor here.
How often is it that you have sort of one of the defining issues of a campaign, you have the one party's nominee is basically completely at odds with the rest of his party. So at a certain level, the Obama campaign doesn't even need to worry about that. And I'm really struck, you look back at those clips from 2000. 2006 and 2008. That's the whole Romney for president thing started with, we have the Massachusetts health care law. That's going to be our big selling point. He was only governor for a term. He didn't run for re-election, but he did this one big thing. And he showed in a bipartisan way with Ted Kennedy that he could do this. And look at this, 6 years later, because Obama became president and said, yeah, we can learn from that. Now it's suddenly poison in the Republican Party.
Steve Kornacki and Crystal Ball, you can see them every day. What is it now? It's 3 p.m.,
3
right?
p.m.
The cycle.
12 on the West Coast.
But you don't use any of the material that you use on this show,
of course,
right? So
this
you
is
say
all
nothing. You come on here, it's all fresh.
Oh, every show's a new one.
No one heard anything like that this afternoon, right? All right. All right. Thank you very much for joining me tonight.